Hello, welcome to the Eclectic Reader. Listen to great books and stories while you use your eyes and hands for other things. Now here's your host, Madison Mason.
Hello again, this is Madison Mason. Welcome to Chapter 22 of The Gray Quarry Boys. We met a lot of characters so far in this rich tale of life in the mid-century rural South, and we hope you've enjoyed it so far. And let's go on. The Gray Quarry Boys, Chapter 22, Todd Kyle. When Craven snapped alert, he didn't know where he was or how long he had been there, so deep was the sleep of forgetting. But he knew Todd Kyle was near, even before he heard the slow whistle, their Black Hawk signal. Craven could smell the cows and milk that identified Todd Kyle. Even from the very top of a tree, Craven Baumgartner had the scenting ability of a blue-tick hound, especially when he was in the woods. He kept quiet as an animal and watched. Seconds later, the holly bush parted far below, and Todd Kyle walked into the clearing, silent, on his guard. He carried a plump leather pouch, which he tossed to the ground as he removed his shirt and looked around for signs of the gang. Craven spied from above, unnoticed. Slowly, noiselessly, he began to climb down, taking care not to dislodge any bark. He would get into position over Todd, and when the chance came, scream his most blood-curdling and jump onto Todd's back, drive his face into the dirt, scare the crap out of him, and maybe skin his nose. This was just a great idea, something the guys would laugh like hell about later. He inched closer, controlling every move, and watched Todd the way a cat watches a robin, tendons cocked and ready, nothing but the object, each movement calculated, imperceptible. Slowly. Todd stretched and began taking off all his clothes. He pulled off his sneakers and tossed his socks into white balls on the mossy bank. Then he peeled his faded jeans and stood in his white shorts, which joined the socks on the ground. He stretched again, digging his toes in the soft green bed. His body bore the classic farmer tan, arms brown from the shoulders down, and head from the neck up, wiry, firm, and powerful, white as the milk from the cows he and his father serviced twice a day. Craven stared in disbelief. Sacrilege! To parade around butt-naked in Spring Hollow? Wait until he told the other guys. Todd Kyle's ass would be grass forever, man. Then Todd Kyle would be the brunt of all the jokes, not Craven Baumgartner. He started to yell out that Todd was a queer homo, but he kept silent to see if Todd did something really perverted. Then he could catch him in the act and humiliate him, maybe even get something out of it. Money, or Todd's Bowie knife. Yeah, Craven coveted that knife. Todd brought it camping, and you could do anything with it. Chop wood, skin rabbits, anything. It was a knife any boy would be blessed to have. Craven decided to watch and wait for the right moment. Todd yawned and walked down to the pool at the base of the fall. He shivered, and his nipples shrank to pinpoints as he inched into the cold water up to his waist. The stream was fed by a deep spring bubbling from the ground up in the woods. It fell over Skull Rock into the pool the Black Hawks had created by damming it up. The water was icy where it filled the pool, and didn't warm until it lay in the sun. Todd splashed water over his goose-pimpled chest, then gasped and disappeared under the surface. Craven watched with anticipation. He didn't care how long it took. He knew eventually Todd would come out of the water and walk under his tree. Then Craven would let him have it. He had time. But Todd didn't rise to the surface. The hollow was quiet for a long time. Craven began counting seconds in his mind. 30, 40, 50. He couldn't see Todd's form under the water where he was, and he was struck with a fear that Todd had drowned. 120, 130. Craven scrambled down to the lowest branch and prepared to jump in and save his friend. It would be even better to tell the Black Hawks the story of saving Todd's life. Maybe Todd would give him the big silver Bowie knife just out of gratitude. As Craven perched to jump, the surface of the water exploded. and Todd Kyle stood in the center of the pool, spewing spray like a steam valve as drops rained around him in a glistening halo. Craven hit against the trunk. Todd gasped for breath, filled his lungs again and again, while water ran from his hair into his blue eyes, glazing them in clear liquid. Todd ran his fingers across his eyelids and blew his nose. Then he climbed the bank and lay down on the thick bed of moss and rolled like a dog, scratching its back. He rubbed the moss over every surface of his wiry body. Craven thought Todd was drying himself, but he was doing more, removing his scent with the moss, and in turn covering himself with the green patina. Now even Craven couldn't smell him. Todd rose and quietly picked up the leather pouch. Something had come over him. He'd risen from the water, a different person. He gave off a strange aura, and Craven sensed it, watching closely. Todd hopped the stream and crossed to the other bank where the sun slanted in bright diagonals, illuminating a clearing in the trees. A cardinal glided across the hot expanse of light, cutting a red slash in the day. Sun splashed Todd's bare white body in a milky glow. Craven watched in hypnotized attention as Todd dropped easily to the ground and pulled at the rawhide drawstrings. He opened the leather pouch while he whistled a high-pitched melody of broken notes. His soft bird call floated through the clearing and across the stream. All the other noise stopped except the running of the water and the seductive whistle. Around and through the morning the song ran as Craven tried to figure what was happening. This was so stupid. He was about to answer with a rude whistle of his own just to see the look on Todd's dumb face. It'd be worth ditching his plan to jump just to make him feel like a jerk. Todd poured something from the pouch into his outstretched hand, and he held it above his head. Suddenly the stillness shivered with a bright flurry of blue. A big jaybird fluttered to perch on the end of Todd's finger and feed brazenly from his hand. As if by signal, the air jumped to life, rent with flapping wings of every color, as one by one the scarlet cardinal, oriole, yellowbreast, finch, and wren landed on Todd's head, arms, and shoulders, while he gently spread seed and nuts from the pouch around on the ground in a circle. A striped chipmunk scurried from the base of a pine to eat from his hand. A russet squirrel sailed down and scrambled in for his share. All the time Todd Kyle laughed to himself and kept the calling whistle, signal for the feast. Craven stared. He knew this wasn't happening for the first time. The animals ate greedily and chased each other from the larger seeds. So much for harmony in nature. Todd tried to protect the smaller ones and make sure each got his share. The process took 20 minutes. Todd lifted the birds on his fingers, feeding some from his own mouth. He made the chipmunk sit up and beg for sunflower seeds, which the critter took in its padded paws and nibbled to nothing. Suddenly, the holy air exploded with screams of blue jays and the frenzied beating of wings. Birds batted against each other in escape and vanished. Colors flashed through the light in a spray of streaks, and in an atom of time, every creature was gone. The whisper of squirrel claws skittering up the bark of the nearest trees was the only sound. Todd looked over his shoulder in surprise, his clear blue eyes wide. Craven Bumgardner stood on the edge of the clearing, watching in silence. Neither knew what to say. Finally Todd stood, not bothering to cover his privates, not even embarrassed, sprinkling the rest of the seed on the ground, walking past Craven as he grinned and headed for his clothes. "Hey, Craven." Craven followed him to the stream and watched as he dipped himself in and rinsed. The green chlorophyll patina rubbed off and floated away atop the water. Todd rose, clean and glistening, from the pool. Craven handed him his T-shirt to dry off with. Still no one spoke. The woods had resumed its natural tone. Todd slipped casually into his clothes, watching Craven's eyes. Finally, he broke the silence. "Hey, don't tell anyone, okay?" Craven nodded assent. Todd pulled on his T-shirt. He stopped and looked back into the deep of Craven's eyes. "What's the matter, Craven?" "Nothing." "Your old man hit you again?" "Yeah." Todd nodded and snapped his jeans. He picked up the pouch and looked Craven in the eye. "I'm sorry, man," he said gently. He put his arm around Craven's shoulder and pulled him, banging their heads together softly. Craven laughed. relieved to have told. Todd drew a half-melted pack of gum from his jeans and handed it to Craven. "It's kind of sweaty." Later, the two buddies climbed out of Spring Hollow, covering their trail, and headed off toward Kyle's dairy farm. The silent woods closed shut behind them, and the sun melted miles away on the horizon.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of The Eclectic Reader. Please go on to the next numbered episode to continue. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you'd like to help support the project, you can donate under Madison Mason at Patreon. And please, check out our website, kltkrdr.com, for more information.
Hi, this is Madison Mason. I want to personally thank you for listening to The Eclectic Reader and invite you to share your experience, your thoughts, and your suggestions. We have many great books lined up for the future, but if you have requests for anything that is in the public domain, please email us at kltkrdr@gmail.com.
kltkrdr@gmail.com